Something tells me he's going to strike first. Here's your look at the Diamond Select Toys Cobra Kai Johnny Lawrence. Decades after the tournament that changed their lives, the rivalry between Johnny and Daniel reignites in the sequel to the Karate Kid films. This deluxe action figure of Johnny Lawrence is based on his appearance in the Netflix series Cobra Kai. It features 16 points of articulation, multiple interchangeable hands, and a support stand. It was sculpted by Chris Dahlberg and Rocco Tardamella. In the case of Johnny Lawrence here, we're going to be doing things slightly backwards in the review. When we had a look at the Daniel LaRusso, we had a look at the more mass-produced retail release version of the figure, and then we had a look at the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 exclusive version of him. Because we didn't have the original mass-produced Johnny Lawrence, the one that you would normally find at comic book stores, we actually looked at the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 first. Thereby, that's the reason why we're saying we're doing things a little bit different and backwards this time around. Either way, in the case, I'd like to thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide the sample not only of the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 SDCC 2022 Johnny Lawrence, but also the one that we're going to be looking at in this review and comparing the figures to. I'm going to go ahead and grab that tape measure. I realize I just said a whole bunch of things. That was hard to take in. Sometimes it's even hard for me to say everything. Anyways, Johnny Lawrence stands a little shy of 7 inches. 7 inches is up here, so he's about 6.5 inches in height, or the figure's roughly about 16 centimeters tall. But if you did see my earlier review of Johnny Lawrence, it would have been for this figure here. This is the San Diego Comic-Con SDCC 2022 exclusive. More of a bare basics release of Johnny Lawrence. He did come included, after all, inside that cardboard VHS case. But he had very limited accessories, only just a display stand and a trading card. I'll bring back that trading card in a moment. I know you guys would want to see that again. Another figure we can also bring into, always evil, John Kreese, still continuing to have his hands tucked into his belt. It's never going to change. I'm always going to keep that look going. And in this case, yes, you can see arms are the same as Johnny Lawrence we're about to have a look at. Gi is also seems to be shared between the two. Other figures we can also bring in as well. I did, after all, mention a couple of Daniel LaRusso's. Here's Daniel LaRusso. This was the retail release, the one that you would be finding at your local comic book store a little bit more easier. And here's what he looks like next to the San Diego Comic-Con 2022. I know, there's a whole lot of Karate Kid figures going on here. Now, I feel almost in a case like this, even though the colors seem a little more vibrant on the SDCC 2022 Johnny Lawrence, I think actually the lighter skin color that we get with the mass release looks just a little bit better. Again, that was the reverse, really, when we look at Daniel LaRusso. Daniel LaRusso actually made for a better looking figure sculpt-wise with the SDC 2022 release. Go figure. Yes, go figure indeed. For the figure's accessories, Johnny Lawrence comes included with a circular display base that features the Cobra Kai logo on the top. This so happens to be the same logo display stand that we did get also included with John Kreese. Go figure. One singular peg up to the top corner, which I didn't actually even bring in, but it does have included also the adjustable neck that plugs into that hole that's provided there. And then you get yourself an adjustable display stand. It's adjustable in the sense that you can get the figure in a more kind of an interesting pose. The thing about it, though, is it just doesn't have the proper strength to hold the figure. If you, in fact, you flip the figure around, located on the back, there's a little hole embedded into the bottom of his spine. That would paralyze him. But you take the display stand, and the whole idea is that you're supposed to adjust this, and this plugs onto the back of his torso, just again to give him a little bit more of a dynamic pose. The problem with it, though, is with always the case with these display stands, you always have to go in and tighten up the screws, as it seems like they get way too loose, way too fast. Well, I do appreciate the fact that Diamond Select would include these things with the display stands. I'm always more inclined, I think, just to display the figures on their display stands. I'm sure I can get into a more interesting enough pose than just having them so vanilla standing straight like this. But I don't think I'm going to probably use the adjustable display stand. Appreciate the fact that you included Diamond Select, but I think in a case like this, I'm just fine instead to have Johnny Lawrence displayed on a stand standing straight. I'm going to do that a little bit later. Stay tuned. In the meantime, let's have a look at the other things that come include Johnny Lawrence. He gets himself a couple of punching fists. One of his things, one of the many teachings he tells his students is the fact that you punch, you solve problems with fists. It comes at least with a couple of fists, so you're solving the problem right there of the figure having some extra hands, which the original Johnny Lawrence, the SDCC, didn't have so much of. The hands are nicely sculpted, they plug into place. I mean, again, you just yank the hands off the forearms and then just pop those into place. I kind of think I'm leaning a little more towards this hand, though. That's going to be for a mean shot. I'm sure he's going to punch somebody in the face, just like, I don't even know what. It would just be a strike, right? He'd be striking first. He'd strike hard. Well, we know the rest. And that, again, plugs into his hand. Let's go ahead and do that right now. As of right now, by the way, the figure does have a pointing hand, which is the same hand that came included also, SDCC. How many times am I going to say in this review? Also came included with the exact same figure. So if you did want to mix things up just a little bit, there's always the option, of course, of using the closed fist, but let's go ahead and just wiggle the hand off anyways from the forearm. And we're going to replace it with this hand here, just because it's a little bit different. And technically, really, because they are using the same forearms and molds after all, it's not to say that you can't use then these extra hands. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit different, right? Because, right, I'm going to bring in the SD. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to bring in the other exclusive figure of Johnny. Again, he had the pointing hand. So right there, I've changed things up, made things a little bit more different. The other hand, on the other hand, literally, the other hand that he comes included with is a gripping hand. Now, the other Johnny Lawrence, just again, why did I even remove him if I was only going to bring him back anyways? The other Johnny Lawrence did have the closed fist. This one actually does have a gripping hand. I don't really know why specifically he comes included with a gripping hand, other than the fact that you could use other accessories that were packaged with other figures. Like, for example, John Kreese would have come included with a couple of weapons, Sai, I think, and a bow staff. Now, you probably could easily just use that with Johnny Lawrence here as well. The only other thing he comes included with is the thing I'm going to display him with. He comes included with a hand that has a molded phone to it. Not the most current technology phone. I mean, this is probably like quite an outdated phone. Everything about Johnny Lawrence is outdated. He's living in the past. This flip phone is permanently molded to his hand. It sort of does beg the question why they couldn't have just simply used this phone as a separate piece and just not had the option to attach it into one of his gripping hands. Technically, what I've just now done defeated the purpose completely, because in order for him to use this hand, I'm going to have to then remove this hand right here. Seems kind of strange, really, when you think about it, that Johnny Lawrence would have come included with a gripping hand, but not any accessories that would fit in his hand. And then the other thing that would actually, another hand that he would have come included with that actually does have an accessory, just so happens to be an accessory that's permanently attached already to his hand. So all that, so I'm just going to wiggle this back into his forearm. This takes a few steps, believe you me, to do this. Now, you can also soften up the socket, the forearm that is, with a little bit of hot water. That'll also help to aid getting that peg in place. I didn't have so much of an issue before. Why am I struggling so much with it now? It's because I know, everybody's watching me doing this. Anyways, this is going to plug into his hand, his forearm. Squeak, it creaks. It's almost there. There we go. He's got his flip phone. He's going to be trying to call Allie with an eye. So yeah, it's a bit strange. Again, like he comes included with a gripping hand, but he doesn't come with any other accessory to go into that hand. And then he comes with an accessory that's already molded to his other hand, literally on his other hand. So you can't even really use either one of these other very unique looking hands. It's either that or, like I said, you could put a closed fist on that side too. Anyways, one other thing, too, that came included with the San Diego Comic-Con version of Johnny Lawrence, as we've already had a look at, is the figure came included with the All-Valley Karate Championship trading card. Doesn't necessarily give you a stat, anything on Johnny Lawrence itself, sort of just a summarized idea of what's going on with the Cobra Kai films, Cobra Kai series, and the Karate Kid series, or Karate Kid film. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. 1984 champion. Didn't come included with this figure. So let's have a look at now Johnny Lawrence. I'm just going to kind of keep the phone in place because you already saw the struggle I had of trying to get that into his socket in the first place. And you know what? It's not going to get in the way of really things anyways when we're looking at this video, of Johnny Lawrence. Getting a closer look at the head sculpt that comes included with now the comic release of Johnny Lawrence. I'm going to once again bring in, you know what, the exclusive. You can see the difference between the two. Like I said, the colors seem a little bit more vibrant on Johnny Lawrence. I had made the pre-assumption when we had a look at this figure right here, that he was probably going to have a better paint job. And I guess to that sense, he does. But I actually think I like the lighter skin tone a little bit more on the comic release, Johnny Lawrence. Head sculpt is good in both the cases, but I feel the flipped opposite. When we looked at Daniel, I thought the exclusive version, had a better paint job. And while I do think the paint is better on this one, I do think you see a better likeness of Johnny with the paler skin. It's the exact same head sculpt, though. Headband is wrapped around his head the exact same way. We can flip it around so you can see it from the back there as well. Tied exactly the same also. If any points could maybe be awarded, I would say, to the SDC version, is just the fact that the gi seems slightly darker and black. I mean, other than that, I mean, like, look, if you look at the legs, for example, they seem a little bit more cleaner and black, where, like, the comic release of Johnny actually seems to have almost a brushing of lighter gray over top of it. Other than that, though, like I said, it's the exact same figure body. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side. As we go closer into Johnny Lawrence's head sculpt, again, once again, you can see the head sculpt. I think they've actually, I got to say, like, this one looks a little bit better than Daniel LaRusso. I think both John Kreese and Johnny Lawrence, so happens to both be Johns, seem to, I think, benefit from better looking head sculpts of the three figures we've looked at thus far. Again, he's got the black gi tied up here in the front. Articulation for Johnny Lawrence. The head is on a ball joint, so like the one that we looked at before, rotates all the way around. You can have the head looking down and up, and you can also, well, also rock it back and forth this way as well. Arms do come out. I don't know if I would necessarily commit to the idea that they would be 90 degrees. It kind of seems a little less than 90, about 45 degrees. Take the arms, you can rotate them all the way around. The figure does have a swivel in the bicep. The figure possesses as well a double hinge on the elbow. And when you eventually get the hands in there, the pegs allow the hands to swivel all the way around. And you can also hinge them back and forth as well. Be checking his social media. Upper torso is on a ball joint. Lower torso is also on a ball joint. The legs can split out, and luckily, because they did put the splits at the bottom of the coat or the shirt of the gi, it allows the legs to split out a lot more than if they didn't put the split in there. You can bring the legs forward. You can bring the legs back. About 3/4 of the way up the thigh, there's a swivel cut that allows the leg to swivel all the way around. The figure does have a double hinge on the knee. And like the figures we looked at before, he does have the ankle pivot. Not only goes this way, but also rocks him back and forth as well this way too. The only thing about the legs, I'm certain I've said it already. I mean, considering we've looked at how many figures of these now, this is like the fifth? This is the fifth. This is the fifth. The cuff of the bottom of the leg does stick out really low. So I would say without using a display stand, you're going to have a little bit more balancing issues, I think, getting the figure to stand properly. Is he going to stand? He's going to stay still? Hopefully, yes, he will. If he does have problems falling over, though, although, I mean, again, looking at the bottom of the cuffs of the legs, you are going to have a little more of a difficult time. Luckily, at least the folks over at Diamond Select, once again, give you a pretty cool looking display stand. Whether you use the adjustable neck or not, I'm just going to leave it off completely. Again, you can easily just take the figure and just plug it onto the display stand. And again, I think it makes for a better showpiece, too, other than the fact that Johnny Lawrence's arm is sticking up so strangely. Now, this is the second Johnny Lawrence, obviously, that we've already had a look at. There is also an Eagle Fang version, and thanks to the folks over at Diamond Select, we will be looking at in an upcoming review. And let's just grab the display stand. I think this was the one that came included with Johnny Lawrence, just because their height is now going to be a little bit off from one another. Plug that onto the display stand. There we go. And again, you've got the two different looks for Johnny Lawrence. Still, again, I feel like it's the opposite case of Johnny Lawrence. Whereas I thought the San Diego Comic-Con version of Daniel LaRusso looked so much better than what we got with the comic book release. Again, I feel like flip-flop, it's the other way around with Johnny Lawrence. Flip-flop, the other way around. This one does also benefit from having some additional accessories, although really the additional accessories only entail a couple of few extra hands. And the unique hands all seem to be dedicated on... Oh, let's just move this a little more centered. The unique hands, seem more dedicated on this side of his body. So if you did have, you have these extra hands anyways. If you wanted to, you can also swap them out with the other Johnny Lawrence. After all, they are sharing the exact same mold. Seeing Johnny Lawrence here with his outdated flip-up phone, I can't fault him either. But long before I switched over to iPhone, I was content with the idea of just having my old outdated phone that had the slip-out keyboard. Remember that phone? It shifted sideways and the top became a screen. The bottom was a concealed keyboard with real working keys. Man, I could type messages so fast back then. Now it takes me about 5 times longer to make a sentence. Not that I struggle trying to come up with a word, nor the spelling of the word, but a lot of the times it's just me trying to touch one key and my finger overlapping onto the letter next to it. And then autocorrect has to tell me, is this the word you really want to be typing? No, autocorrect, I was actually trying to spell, why am I arguing with my phone? But yeah, I really wish I still had that phone. I think I sold it to somebody for like $20. Even as outdated as it was, I should have still held on to that phone. I wonder if I could still get it to have worked. Anyways, Johnny Lawrence here, likely going to be displaying him with the flip-up phone. It's too good of an accessory, I think, to leave off the figure. And considering as well already that the SDCC, how many times has he said that in this video? The other exclusive version of Johnny Lawrence didn't really come with anything in the way of accessories. Bare bones he was. He came included with the display stand, yes. Came included with the trading card, sure. And it came included with the pointing finger. This Johnny Lawrence also comes included with the pointing finger. There's no sense in having two figures of Johnny Lawrence displayed on the shelf with the exact same hands. This figure is going to have the outdated flip-up phone, championing the outdated phones, Johnny Lawrence. Now, this figure also has, again, some unique hands. Ironically enough, all the unique hands seem to be on one side of his body. The stiff, what is that, stiff chop, a stiff uppercut kind of hand that he comes included with, that's on the same side. The pointing finger hand, which I'm not as bothered about either anyways, is also on the same side. The only thing that you can swap out on the other side, literally on the other hand, is a closed fist. Again, I don't understand why they would have not included a unique hand at least to go on the other side. So at least he could be pointing to his class while checking his social media status. Still, though, I do think I like the paint job on this one just a little bit more than the other one, being the fact that the paint isn't as strong on this Johnny Lawrence. I think really gives the opportunity for the head sculpt to shine, where I think you see the features better on Johnny's face here than what you do with the San Diego Comic-Con. Still, though, a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide this sample of Johnny Lawrence with his outdated phone that we could have a look at in this video. For your video question, what's your favorite, and I'm sure I've already asked this, but what's your favorite Karate Kid? I wonder how many people are going to say the next Karate Kid, or the one that has Will Smith's son. Not a bad movie. I didn't like that. I didn't mind that one. But the one with Hilary Swank? No. Didn't like that one at all. But what's your favorite Karate Kid? Let me know down below in the comments section. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you're loving the content that you're seeing here on a regular basis and you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Turn the bell notification on so you're always going to get those friendly reminders whenever new videos are being posted. And if you are somebody that still uses an outdated phone, I say all at you. All the power to you. Keep using as long as you can those outdated phones until you no longer can use them. Because the moment you give them away and functioning real keys, the more you're going to miss them when they're gone. Just remembering again my poor flip-out phone. I think I sold it for like $20. I should have sold it for a lot more. I should have really not sold it at all. Anyways, guys, lots more videos coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.